Hi, everybody. Welcome to Humane Voices. I'm Carrie. I'm here with my co-host, Kelly, and we are excited to be here today to talk to you about kitty cats. I'm tempted to sing one of my old favorite jingles, the meow, 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 but it's probably dating me. So, Kelly, you want to introduce our guest today?
I will, and yes, it is dating you, Carrie. Thank you.
Thank you for confirming.
Yes, you're welcome. I'm here for you. So yeah, I'm excited about today's podcast. We always have, of course, great guests, but today we're talking about all things cats, which is great. I have two of them. I've had them since I was young, and increasingly it seems cat people have always known cat people are everywhere and cats are wildly popular, but it seems like more folks are out of the closet talking about their love of cats. It spans all demographics. So super excited to have with us today our guest that I have the pleasure to work with all the time, Danielle Bays, who is our Senior Analyst of Cat Protection and Policy at the Humane Society of the United States. So
Yay.
Danielle, thanks for joining us today and talking cats with us.
Thank you. I will share with you, Carrie, that I used to have that Meow Mix tune as the ringtone on my phone.
Fantastic.
Simpler to change your ringtone, but
fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh.
Did you want to sing it too, Danielle, to kick us off and join Carrie?
We could have a little chorus.
Maybe we can leave that to the end.
It's probably violating our endorsement policies anyway, so we probably should say that. So yeah, I'm probably the odd man out on this pod because I do not have a cat, but I do not have a cat because I am horribly allergic to them. Not because I don't love them. I love them so much. And every time I see people out posting their adorable cat pictures, I'm consumed with jealousy. And if it weren't for the fact that my only phobia in this world is needles, I would do something about that. So I am excited to talk to cat people. I think we could get started, about some of the challenge that faces cat. I mean, we've talked about declawing cats on the show before, and it sounds like there have been some updates. Is that right?
Oh yeah. We've made a lot of progress this year, considering we had one state previously, New York, that had banned declawing. We've made a 100% leap because we have two now with Maryland. Maryland has a ban that will go into effect on October 1st, I believe this year. To ban non-therapeutic declawing in cats. So
does that make New York and Maryland the most pro-cat states in the union? Is that how we can interpret that, or are there other things that make a state like really pro-cat aside from banning declaw?
Ooh, I mean that's a good question. We probably could have a cat fight over what you could include in that.
Which we can do because we have our claws. Maybe you could tell people who are not as familiar with this issue, like why declawing is such an issue that we get involved as a humane organization. Because I think that still out there's a misconception that it's just like a manicure.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a really bad term, declawing. It just sounds like you're just taking off the fingernails, but it's toe amputation.
We should start just calling it that.
There is some movement to do that, except when you start talking toe amputation, people are like, what are you talking about? It's like, yeah, it's declawing. You're taking off the each toe on the cats, like the very first digit of their toe on all of their toes on their, usually it's the front paws, but sometimes they do all four, depending on why, what weird reasoning they have for needing to declaw the cat.
Well, it's such a cruel practice. I mean, we know that there's veterinarians that are, increasingly saying they're not going to perform that. Are you hearing more of that? Does it seem like the industry is kind of catching up to, what cat owners have long since wanted?
Yeah. I mean, we've seen big veterinary practices, like all the Banfield hospitals and the VCA hospitals. That's like a big corporate chain, however you feel about that. But all those practices do not do declawing anymore. They have a policy against it. So that's like thousands of veterinarians, plus the American Association of Feline Practitioners. They have a cat-friendly practice certification, that covers a whole bunch of things that should make going to the vet less stressful for cats, because going anywhere for cats usually is stressful. But they have now included not doing declaw as a condition of being certified in that. So that's like the cat veterinary association in the country. So, seeing those kind of big voices for veterinarians come out against declawing, I think is huge.
So we're seeing the vets increasingly say, we're not going to do this anymore. Obviously, cat owners are wanting that. It's certainly a humane issue. I mean, in terms of just looking globally at this, I mean, it seems like I believe we're still behind some places. I mean, where do you think the U.S. stacks up with
Oh, we're at the very bottom.
Yeah.
I think we've always been at the very bottom. Declawing is a weird U.S. thing. Like, it really started in the U.S. And other countries, it's not been as common ever. But we see so many that either have laws or just policies, or they consider it inhumane and they don't do it.
Danielle, did it start at a particular time in the U.S.? Do you know the history here? Like, I'm curious if it was prompted by something. Did it become a trend at some point?
It started, I can't remember what year it was, but it was, I'd say 100 years or so ago, was like a letter to the editor, the veterinary journal, from a veterinarian who was just like, hey, I figured out this way to stop, cats from scratching things.
Lord.
And we just, cut off their toes.
Thanks, anonymous veterinarian. Great work.
Yeah, no, he signed it, but it wasn't like that. There was a lot of medical studies and research done to develop this practice. It's just kind of that like homegrown thing that happened, and some people thought it was a good idea, but it's so painful.
It just strikes me that this is it's such a good example to me about how language kind of matters, because it's like when I think about, how many sort of casual conversations about, someone's getting a new cat. Oh, are you going to have him declawed? Imagine how less casual it is if someone says, oh, are you going to have his toes amputated? Right? That's not a casual question, and it conveys much more the seriousness of that. Rather than
it's like the extreme response. It's like, your cat is scratching your furniture. Well, let me just cut off his, his paws. Like, that's
so insane. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. And certainly not only on our website, but our friends at Paw Project. You can get a lot of great information at pawproject.org. But in terms of the practical matter for the cat owners out there listening, or new cat owners, you mentioned scratching the furniture. So I think it'd be great if we give some tips. If someone has a cat, they're scratching the furniture, there's alternatives to that, right, Danielle?
Totally. I am probably not a good example, so don't live by me, because I just provide furniture that the cats like to scratch and let them do it. But
can we see a picture of your house, Danielle? I would love to see. I want to see the behind you. The sofa is just shredded to bits, and there are cats coming out of it. Oh.
My grandmother would roll over in her grave in one of her chairs. So what it looks like now, but having scratching posts and figuring out what your cat likes to scratch, not cats are individuals. They have different preferences. Some like to scratch on things that are flat on the ground. Some like the posts that are tall. They really want to stretch out their legs.
Some like your relatives. I cats that like to scratch your relatives. If you have a particular relative you don't like that you could bring over to the house for the cats to scratch. Does that work?
Do you need to unpack some issues today, Carrie? In addition to this,
I'm just trying to think through all the value of having a cat. And one of the reasons that I'm so jealous of people who get to have cats is because our dogs won't scratch the right relatives. They're not smart that way. But cats always seem to know the people who you shouldn't be having.
They sense it.
Yeah.
They do have some really keen senses, but they also have different forms of judgment. So when they might not like the relative you do like, so you might not agree on that, but the fun thing is with scratching posts, they can be fun looking. They don't have to be bland and boring. There's all sorts of fun cat trees or different things you can put in your house that have visual appeal to humans, as well as benefits for the cat, things that they can climb on and jump on and scratch on. They can, add a pop of color to your house with a nicely designed cat tree. And it's not because there's a growth in the cat supply industry. It used to be tons of stuff for dogs, but not so much stuff for cats. There's so much more now for cats, and then companies that are designing things with different types of styles. They understand some people have mid-century modern taste. Some people are more like modern, some people more traditional. So you can get cat scratching posts and things in different styles to match your home. They don't have to be that like eyesore in the corner.
Do cats have a style preference? Are there like mid-century modern cats versus, brutalist cats or?
I do believe that there are some cats that do prefer brutalism.
I think shabby chic too. I feel like my cats like modern and contemporary. I feel like they're shabby chic. They like the more when I have kind of some things in disarray.
I feel like shabby chic just lends itself to being shredded too. Like shabby chic says to me, shred that.
My couch is extremely shabby chic based on what the cats have, and I've allowed them to.
Yeah. It's that wabi-sabi idea of like, definitely you can embrace that. But there are, you can also be very fastidious and neat in like those kind of clean lines because some cats are neat. They're by nature very neat. So they accommodate many of our human lifestyles.
If you can just speak to briefly to wrap up kind of the declaw topic, one thing I think people don't understand is that, the research that exists out there that the behavior problems can increase when you declaw a cat. I think that's important for folks to know, especially new cat owners.
Yes. One of the big issues that all cat owners have is usually around litter boxes, cats that have problems using the litter box. So when cats are declawed, because they're amputating the bones at the end of their feet, it can make their feet hurt. And so digging in cat litter can hurt. And you have a higher incidence of cats who are declawed not using the litter box.
Right. Because they wouldn't want to dig through. That's awful.
Right. I mean, this is, so then you created a new problem. They also bite more, partly because they're in pain, partly because they can't defend themselves. But, cat scratches, they can, you just clean them up. That's an injury, but cat bites are serious. And that's a visit to the hospital for many situations. So if you're trying to prevent a cat from injuring someone from scratching them, declawing them is really just putting those people in more danger from a cat bite, which is serious for even healthy people, let alone people who might have a suppressed immune system or other medical conditions. So it's not good for people.
How about some tips, Danielle, on cat enrichment? I think people often think, enrichment with dogs, but cats need it too. And people think that you have to spend a lot of money to get a lot of these toys, which, as you mentioned, the market has exploded with, and no longer just products for dogs, but cats too. But, talk a little bit about cat enrichment and how to keep, especially, kittens, keep them engaged.
Yeah, it's really important to play with your cat every day, whether they're old or young. And, that can help with like inappropriate scratching too, or other problems, just like keeping them engaged and mentally stimulated. But, it doesn't take a lot, even like for interactive toys. That could be a piece of string, a piece of yarn, figuring out what kind of play your cat likes to do. They want to pounce on something, do they want to get like a ball like thing, crumple up a piece of paper. I think about one of my cats who loves to knock things off the table. And it's like, I just pay attention to what kind of things he likes to knock off the table. He's dragged around, like I get, you buy new clothes and they'll have a little paper tag with a string on it that it's, whatever brand. So it's like a little mouse-like thing. And then he'll just move that around the house.
That's classic. It's like all those posts you see of people who've ordered the fancy new cat toy and the cat is obsessed with the box for the fancy new cat toy.
Cardboard boxes. Seriously, everyone has cardboard boxes these days. You're ordering something online or someone's sending you something.
Everyone's learned that with a cat at the holidays. You wrap a nice gift. I've gotten many a fancy gift, and really all they need is the wrapping paper, the bows, the tape on that's not what is in the box. I learned that early on with my first cat. Like, I spent all this money on gifts for the holidays, and they just want the wrapping.
Every cardboard box at my house spends approximately a week just on the floor randomly somewhere, wherever I unpacked it for the cats to play in before it gets recycled or repurposed. So it just, whether they're jumping in it, you can turn it upside down so they go in. You can, if you're creative and bored or have kids, you can like, cut holes in it and make them castles and pile. You can get super creative, or you can just put it on the floor and then play with it. Like it doesn't always require a lot. You just, pay attention to what your cat's doing and figure out what kind of things they like to play with. But I would say be aware of some things like rubber bands or hair ties or things like that they might try to play with or really like to play with that could be harmful if they actually ate them and swallowed them. So.
Yeah.
So Danielle, one thing I'm curious about, which I wondered about, is there any sort of rationale behind which cats make noise and which cats don't? I mean, so one of my favorite cats, R.I.P. Flo, was my sister's cat. And Flo was the chattiest cat I have ever met in my life. And I would, when I would go over to cat sit her, unlike the other cat who would just sort of be this silent ghost sort of slinking around and I would never sort of even see her, Flo would talk the entire time I was in the house. Like whenever I would go in, she would just be like meow, and I would say meow, and we would say meow to each other like 100 times in the course of me feeding her and changing her litter. And I was always really curious, like she didn't seem to want anything. She just seemed to be like actually just having a conversation, and like it wasn't like she was following me around, pestering me to do something. It just like chatting.
Yeah, there's the belief that like just the basic meow, cats develop that to talk to humans. Like cats make all sorts of different noises. Like, you'll hear them like certain noises if they're like at the window looking at a bird outside and they kind of get this trilling noise. Obviously there's, for cats that, we haven't yet gotten spayed and neutered may make certain noises outside when they're trying to attract mates or do other illicit things. But, but like just your general meowing is like for humans. So I think part of it is like they're chatting back and forth, but it's kind of like, I don't really understand the language. So I'm just mimicking what you're saying back. So I'm like saying different words, but it may not be like putting them together in the right context. And maybe that's why my cat is still meowing at me, because they're like, you don't get it. Like you learn the language, like you live here, you live in this, this country.
Right.
But it's really just talking. I have a cat that'll just wander around the house meowing at me, and I'm like, "Hi, do you want some food? Do you want to be
seems
better?"
rude not to meow back, but I always worry that I'm that I'm speaking, bad Spanish. Like when I go to Mexico and I'm like, football, where is bus? And it's kind of like
right, like when you're asking where the bathroom is, and you really just say, "Are you wearing shorts?"
Yeah, and the cat's meow back to me is like, "You are an idiot." So, but it seemed friendly. I mean, it seemed non-judgmental, but perhaps I'm just projecting that.
There's been various different efforts to, study cats' intelligence. And one of the challenges that they have is cats just not participating in some of these studies. So,
they're too smart to be studied.
Right. So it's like, sometimes we just don't really know.
I have better things to do. I'm reclaiming my time.
It's so on brand with the cat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're busy. They're busy napping, eating. Yeah. What about body language? So I always think it's fascinating to watch my cats and talk to other cat owners about, the rubbing you, new folks, the eye movements. I mean, there's so many different body language things. And I mean, so if a cat, Danielle, any of your 5, I think it is, if they're showing you love or appreciation, what are they doing?
Oh, there's a lot of things, just like, rubbing up against you, like headbutting or butting, as they call it, where they're just kind of running into you like incessantly until you pay attention to them. Kneading. I have a cat that likes to spoon.
Oh,
definitely that's attention. But cats can be really subtle. Like one of the ways that they show that they love you is called the slow blink, where they just slowly close their eyes and open it. So to me, that's like the big contrast between cats and dogs. Like dogs say they love you by like getting all excited and wiggling and jumping and slobbering all over you. A cat slowly closes their eyes. Just, the cat will just be sitting there on their own, just slowly close their eyes. And you can do that back to a cat too, to indicate that you're speaking their language.
Well, it's fascinating to me how they it's not that they understand the words you're saying, but your pitch and tone, we all have, I think people do it with kids even too, and with their dogs.
Yeah.
You know, when I say, my cat's in the room, so TREATS, but I say it in a certain pitch, like, you know, so I could say any word in that pitch, you know, it's time to get your TREATS, but I say it like the cat knows what that is, you know, regardless of the word. I don't know if that's the same with dogs, but I'm sure cats do that, Danielle.
They're often a lot smarter than people give them credit for.
Yeah. I mean, we're not putting forth they're smarter than dogs today, but I'm just saying we could be making that challenge maybe.
We can have that debate later on. We can have an actual steel cage death match about the cat versus dog intelligence debate.
What do you think is about the, you know, kind of when we talk about the dog cat competition, or just, I mean, there's been increased research and products we talked about and policy issues, but I would argue that also technology and, you know, the socials and the interwebs have been a great boon for the increase of just appreciation for cats. What do you think about that, Danielle?
I think it was determined at least a decade or two ago that cats had taken over and won the internet.
How did they pass dogs in that? Like, what was the, you know, it seems to me there's more, maybe I just look at them more, but there's more reels and TikTok and videos about cats than dogs. Is that true? And if so, why do you think that is?
That is an excellent question. I would suspect that, you know, for dogs, it's a lot of it is like it more in person, you know, like hands-on. Cats, that subtlety of the internet and watching them and being able to catch them doing something kind of more on the sly.
They get themselves into situations.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I think they're just more, their personality is a little bit more congruence with the internet and our kind of online behaviors than dogs. Dogs are more like they want instant attention right then and there.
Yeah. Cats are more of a challenge. I always felt like Garfield was the tipping point, but then along came Grumpy, and then came, you know, the internet, and I thought, oh wow, that really shot their popularity up.
Grumpy Cat may have defined internet influencers.
Do you think the Kardashians exist because of cats?
Oh, let's not put that on cats. Cats already suffer from so much.
I don't know anything about the Kardashians.
I don't either, but in terms of influencers, I feel like maybe they were at the forefront of telling folks you can parlay, you know, popularity and notoriety using the technology and the current means. They're visionaries. Cats are visionaries.
I love it.
Cats are visionaries.
Yeah.
So Danielle, I'm curious, like with all this stuff about cat behavior, there was a new study about catnip recently, and it sounds like they figured out that cats have another use for catnip. I mean, it can you talk a little bit about that? I thought that was a really interesting study.
Yeah. So, you know, most people know like catnip is like, you know, the cat drug, the legal cat drug. It really only affects like 50% of cats. It's actually thought to be kind of genetic. Which cats
so by effect you mean it has like the stoner effect, like
right. It has, you know, some stimulation, you know, impact on the stoner effect on the cat.
Cheech and Cat.
Kitty and Sean,
right, yeah.
So but yeah, so this recent study was looking at it from the perspective of like other similar plants that have like mosquito repellent qualities. So a lot of times what cats will do with catnip is they roll in it. And rolling in it is actually also manipulating the leaves, and it's like breaking them down even further, and it releases some substances that apparently also repel mosquitoes. So it's like, oh, they have a separate benefit of just like also helping out, keeping the bugs away from the cats too.
Does it work on people? If I go rolling catnip, will it keep the mosquitoes away from me? Because I'm always nervous when I put that DEET stuff on me, and I just would prefer to be able to roll.
There's a research project.
Sounds more fun.
There.
Well, it's summer, and so I have a big container of catnip, and I am gonna try it out this summer. I will try to keep some data
Yeah.
And when we
If you
get
could
back
get
together,
if
I'll
you could
let you know.
TikTok that, we can use it on the pod next of Danielle rolling in catnip. That would be internet. Speaking of internet gold, that's internet gold, baby.
I'll put it out in the catio, and the cats and I can all roll around in it together.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. I'm loving it.
So we know more people are owning cats, it seems. They're getting more visibility. They're out there, in everything from rap songs to videos. What's some of the things happening in the shelter world right now with cats? What's the current situation for cats in shelters?
It is kitten season. So that's the time of year when all the kittens are born. In like northern climates, it has to do with like the days get longer and cats get all frisky and they mate. And then about 9 weeks later, there's some kittens. So we will start to see a whole bunch of kittens born. And then, if cats aren't spayed and neutered, they can get pregnant again before those kittens are weaned and have more kittens. So, we see this big period of kittens. And in some of the southern states, that kitten season goes from about January to December. Right. So,
right.
Yeah.
Kitten years, kitten season.
Kitten season is like always. So, it's one of the challenges that we have in sheltering is balancing, providing for the care of those kittens and, getting them out of, whatever outdoor situation they may be living in and getting them new homes, with being proactive and getting all those cats spayed and neutered to begin with. So, unfortunately, we have a veterinary shortage in the country, and there's a lot of challenges getting access to spay and neuter surgeries, both for individuals and for shelters. So they're a little backed up. So we're seeing a lot of cats and dogs as well in shelters this year. I heard from a vet that works at a shelter in a Midwest shelter tell me recently they had 60 some cats come into their shelter in one day.
In one day. Oh my gosh. That sounds like the bad old days. I mean, we're hoping that we're sort of getting out of.
It's challenging. So I mean, I would say it's a good time to, if you're able to add some more cats to your family.
Yeah. It's a good time, obviously, if you have a cat, spay and neuter if they're not.
Yes.
It's a good time to adopt, and for, and hopefully people that have maybe never owned a cat or are thinking about it, now is the time to get one. And I think that brings me to I feel like for cats, much more so than dogs, there's a lot of misconceptions. What are one or two of some of the biggest misconceptions do you think, Danielle, people hold about cats?
Oh, I'd say that they're aloof, that they're, as opposed to dogs who are social, and cats are kind of aloof loners. They love interaction. They need interaction. They like attention and people around. And they can live, with other cats. They can benefit from those relationships with other cats in a household. So that's key.
Generally, don't they have, Danielle, a longer lifespan too? I know a lot of people fear getting an animal because they know they will lose that animal in their lifetime, and the idea of that grief. I find with cats, that's just another perk that I know in general, I'm going to have them longer potentially, right?
Yeah. Generally, your cat is going to live into their teens, but cats can live into their 20s. And I think some of the oldest cats on record have been like 34.
Wow.
Wouldn't necessarily plan on that for your cat, but you can expect your cat to live to like 17, 18 years old, with good food, good medical care, keep them safe inside.
I have a cat that I think the misconception, I think you're right. People think they're aloof or just so independent. They don't need people. I have a cat that wants to be held. I'll carry him around. I pick him up to go to bed at night, and not because he's elderly. It's just how he rolls.
Likes to be held.
He spoons, he lays on me, looks out the window with me. I think that is a key.
And I mean, for a lot of cats, they don't like change. They like routine, but there are cats who do like to do a lot of the same kind of things dogs do. I mean, we see more and more people have what kind of call adventure cats. They're taking their cat out for walks on a leash, or they're taking them hiking, or kayaking or, riding around on their bicycle. The cats have little baskets. I've even seen like cats with little, specially fitted helmets, but
The
there
backpacks
are,
with the opening. I'm sure you've probably seen those
Yes.
people carry the cat in the backpack. That's when I knew too, that and the strollers, when people had cats, and I'm like, cats have arrived.
Cats have
Now
made it.
arrived.
Yeah.
but when you see people out there like, doing like the stand-up paddle boarding with their cat, or they're, rock climbing with their cat, things that people would normally do with a dog. It's like, no, you can have cat if you start them young and you get a cat with the right personality. But again, there are also dogs that don't want to do any of that stuff too, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And they can be as active. It's not like, cats just live at home and that's it. You can bring them out and about and do things with them as well. So hoping at some point that won't be looked at as like, oh, you're a crazy cat person because you're walking your cat around or push them on a stroller around the neighborhood. So,
well, have you noticed, Danielle? I mean, when you said crazy cat person, and people used to use the term crazy cat lady, I feel like increasingly, maybe I just know more men that have cats, but it seems like it is no longer just. I have some guy friends that, love their cats as much as I do, and I don't remember that years ago. Maybe again, it's just they're more comfortable to be out about their cat love, maybe because there's been cultural changes there.
I think that's true. I think we've always had people of both genders who've loved cats. It's just that, the whole crazy cat lady thing was really came out of like some political activity against women. It was like to make them look, like they didn't deserve the vote.
Yeah, it seems like it's witch associated too. This sort of gendered politics goes back a long, long way.
Yeah. So it is becoming more socially acceptable to claim your love of cats for, that it's not so tied into a feminist or a feminine, lifestyle. So it's, you see more and more promotion of that too. That you can be macho and love a little tiny kitten.
Cats are macho. There's some macho cats out there.
They've got swag,
Yeah,
totally. A lot of swagger.
Danielle, I feel like we sort of set you up for this, like, with the sort of discussion about how challenged some shelters are right now in terms of cat overflow. But so I think one of our wrap up questions is kind of like, how many cats is too many for one person? Like, is there a level at which you sort of top out, or is it really dependent on the person and the cats? Or
I think it is really dependent on the person and what your particular capacity is, both in being able to financially care for them, the time you have, and just kind of the decision, what feels right for yourself. I've had one cat, I've had 7 cats. I kind of feel like, to me, 4 would be a good number. But as Kelly said earlier, I do have 5.
Yeah, there you go.
But it's also like, do the cats get along? Like, like with any social group, if everyone gets along, the more the merrier. But you got like one cat that's a jerk to everyone else, and that just like throws the whole thing off. So I would just say keep adding cats until you're like, okay, wait, this is enough.
Right. And maybe your local shelter has cats that have come in as family members and are already bonded with each other, which is a real good opportunity sometimes too.
Yeah.
Right. Or, there's that story talking about like cats and stories going viral. That guy was in Paris who this cat like wandered into his house. He doesn't know how the cat got in there, and then had kittens under his bed.
Oh my gosh.
And he's tweeting about it. It's like, oh, this isn't my cat. What's happening? I don't know. And then there was like a whole litter of kittens. It was like he was tweeting every 2 minutes for like a day. But he kept them all.
Oh.
And I know it's a whole family of cats. So like, because they are family and they get along. So that's like,
that's awesome. I hope he had them spayed and neutered.
He did, yeah. They were all spayed and neutered and vetted.
I think it's a common theme, though. I've heard this from friends that didn't think they were, quote, cat people, unquote. And then they got a cat that wandered in. My best friend, that happened to her. And then they're like, you were right. I did fall in love with this cat. I'm like, yes, I've told you this. I think that's a common theme. People that didn't think they loved cats like dogs or just in general, then they had a cat.
Sometimes you just have to have a cat experience to understand what cats are all about.
Agree.
So Danielle, if you have a walk away for people who have listened to this cat podcast and are thinking, am I a cat person? Am I not a cat person? Should I explore being a cat person? What would you tell them?
I mean, I think, everyone should just be more open. If you think you're a dog person, spend some time with cats. Understand, even if you're not going to bring a cat into your life, but cats are kind of magical and special, and I want everyone to have an appreciation for them in some way.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much, Danielle, for being here to talk to us about cats. I hope everybody is having a wonderful summer or winter if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. If we're listening down there, I know we've got cats in the Southern Hemisphere. Maybe they're listening right now and trilling at the podcast. Everybody, hope you're having a wonderful time. Thanks for being here. If you have any, if you're struggling with your cat clawing things, please feel free to visit our website, humanesociety.org. We've got a lot of good information there about how to handle cat scratching in a way that is not declawing, not toe amputation. So please feel free to visit that site and get some more good information there. And we'll see you next time on Humane Voices.